Hello everyone, good morning. Let me show you something. Look, it's still raining. It's been 3 days already that it's been raining non-stop. So if you're planning to come to Luang Prabang this week, you may have to consider postponing your trip maybe in a week or 2 weeks time because the weather is not very good. The forecast says it's gonna rain throughout the week. And I think it's because of the super typhoon that hit China and northern Vietnam. So some part of Laos is already affected. And yesterday there was the news from the north of Laos in Luang Nam Ta province. They're experiencing a severe flood up there. And so far it claimed one life and a lot of people lost their home. So yeah, if you're coming to Laos this week anyway, do prepare. It's gonna be wet. Anyway. Hi everyone, well in today's video I'm going to talk about the dating culture in Laos, especially foreigners dating locals. Since I got questions from my fan asking, what's the dating culture like here? How easy it is and how straightforward it is, what is the law and what's the rule and what they should know before they go on a date with a local person. So I'm going to share my own experience as somebody who dating a foreigner, and I have a couple of friends who are dating foreigners as well, girls who have foreign boyfriends and a boy who has foreign wife and things like that. So in this topic, I'm going to cover both for straight people as well as LGBT people, how dating in Laos is like. So let's say if you're a straight foreign man dating a local traditional woman, sorry, when I say local traditional woman I meant those who have never left the country, the girls that were born and raised in Laos, as they are a little bit different from those progressive women. The progressive women that I meant is those who have lived in overseas before and who have studied in overseas or who have traveled a lot. Their idea or their point of view of dating is a little bit different from the traditional ones. So like I said, if you were to date a local traditional woman, things that you have to know is Lao culture is very conservative compared to your culture, especially if you're from Western Europe, America, Canada, or Australia, and those countries. Lao women tend to be reserved and shy in a sense of dating. They would not show their affection towards you, especially when it's fresh. They're a little bit too shy. So you have to make a move first. You have to, you tell her how you feel about her and, if you like her or not. And if she likes you, she would respond in the same way. So how do you know if the girls like you? Well, it's very easy. I think it's quite natural. They will just probably want to chat with you and go on a walk with you or share some meal with you, go on a drink with you, something like that. So where do you meet the local women? Well, the dating culture in Laos has changed a lot these days because of the social media. Back in the day, people met each other mostly through family and friends. They introduce them together. People meet in a workplace or in a bar, in a restaurant, and things like that. Where now, most people, especially local people, they meet each other on Facebook mainly, and then Instagram and TikTok. As foreigners, if you want to meet with Lao girls, this day is quite easy. Apart from the bar, you probably can meet her on a dating app like Tinder, for example. And for gay men, you can meet each other probably on Grindr or Hornet or on Blue, things like that. And one other thing that you have to keep in mind if you're dating a local person here is the public display of affection is not a thing here in Laos because of the culture is considered to be not rude but considered to be not polite in the eyes of the others. So it's more reserved in that sense, especially a straight couple. Holding hands and kissing in public is a big no-no. You won't see it here. And also we have stigma in Lao culture where women are more to lose in a relationship. So basically nothing is equal in relationship until you are officially married. So when you first start dating, in Lao culture, women are more vulnerable and they're the one that is being seen as the one who lose instead of gains. Let's say if she gets pregnant, unintentionally gets pregnant, that means, you know, she's bringing shame to the family, is considered to be disgrace and dishonor to the family, and in public eyes, she is not a good woman. So yeah, that's why Lao traditional women is seen to be very careful about it. They take things very slowly to develop the relationship. And parents would try their best to protect their girls from getting pregnant, you know, without getting married. So, yeah. And the big question that I got asked all the time is, can you live with your Lao partner while you're dating in Laos? Technically, by law, you're not supposed to live together as couple in the same building when you are just dating, especially if you're a straight couple. However, if you can avoid it, if you can help it, you can still live together in the same house or same apartment, but please make sure that you live in a neighborhood where it's normal for expat people to live there. Let's say in Luang Prabang, there is a village called Ban Phalang, which is in Ban Bisun, where a lot of expat and foreigners with their Lao partners live there. So in that kind of village, it's very normal to have foreigners live there, so people don't care. It's not very likely that the authorities will come knock on your door and, you know, asking to see your marriage certificate. But if you live in a suburb or in a small village where it's not common to see foreigners live in their village with a Lao partner, then 100% you're gonna get a surprise visit from authorities knocking on your door and asking to see if you have marriage certificate or not. If you don't, that's the problem. First, they're gonna get your passport detained, and then you'll face fines. It's nothing serious. It's nothing like you have to go to jail and things like that. You will have to pay the fine, and it has a long backstory why Lao government introduced this kind of law. I'll tell you later. It's very interesting, and overall, it's all about protecting Lao women. So we'll get into that. When will you expect to get introduced to her family after dating? Well, if the girl is serious about the relationship and she wants to develop, you know, to the next level, she will definitely introduce you to her family, maybe within a year or 6 or 7 months, depending on how intense your relationship goes. So once you got introduced, that's when things started to get serious. And if you think that you can have future with her, then the agreement has to be discussed. You will have to talk to her parents. To get married in Laos, apart from getting the marriage certificate, there's a lot of documents we submit through the embassy. I would recommend use agent to help because it's such a complicated process. My friend who married her husband from the US, she tried herself back in the day. There's this big pile of documents all in Lao that she needs to translate all into English because, you know, you have to go through both Lao and your country of embassy. So apart from that, you'll have to prove a lot of things, you know, how long you've been together, the interview and things like that. And yeah, using the agent is probably the best option, but I'm not sure how much it costs. I think she paid more than $700. That's a long time ago. I think now it must be more expensive. So yeah, apart from, you know, go through that, there's a dowry, you know, in Lao culture. So basically, if you're to get married with a Lao woman, you will have to pay some amount of cash to her parents and some piece of gold, depending on what's the agreement, what's the discussion between you and the family. So part of dowry is the tradition, because in Laos, we owe to our parents because they gave us life and raised us up. And then when it's time for them to leave their parent to be with you, to have a life with you as you're taking her away from her parents, part of dowry is to, you know, compensate or give back to what her parents have given her. You know, it's kind of a gift and to give an honor to the parents, you know. So yeah, that's the culture. It's complicated, but that's the thing, dowry. So that's about it about straight people. Now let's take a look at the gay people, you know. If you're a foreigner dating homosexual people from Laos, either lesbian or gay men, It's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Nobody cares and nobody give you a second look about it. If you're two men or two women living in the same house, in any neighborhood, people would just assume that you're friends because the gay culture in Laos is not a thing. To a lot of Lao people, the word gay or lesbian is still very new. However, the lady boy or transgender has been in our society for years and years, and people know about it. So even if you're a foreigner living with a local Lao boy, then people just don't care. Nobody come and check you out. And I see it two ways. Good in the sense of, you have more freedom, you have more privilege as nobody or no authorities come check you out. And the bad side is anything can happen to the boy as nobody is checking, I'm going to give you an example. So as many of my audiences ask me where do I learn my English, so I've told you before that I learned it at school with this guy from the US, from California. So his name is Michael. Michael is from Boston, but he lived in the California most of his life. Michael came to Luang Prabang in 2008 and he met me as one of the first people in Luang Prabang. At the time I was still a monk. So he fell in love with Luang Prabang and he came to my temple and we talked about it and he asked me later if he can set up an English class in my temple, which I talked to my master, my abbot, and he gave us the permission to set an English class, which Michael teach for free. So I studied with him on and off for 8 months, and that's where I picked my accent, from him. But then later on, my Swiss teacher came to replace him, and I got, studied with her for some time. So Michael, from the look outside, he seemed to be a normal person, a loving, caring, and generous, providing English class for free for the underprivileged Lao children. But deep down, he's very different because later on, he was found to be a pedophile, that he abused many of his students as young as 11 years old. So what happened is that after he quit the class in my temple, he decided to rent a house, a big house in Luang Prabang. And he had like more than 10 students live with him, aged as young as 11 to 20, to mid-20 or something. He feed them, he give them a home, he provide them like some basic necessity like toothbrush, toothpaste, like that, and also teaching them English for free. I was not suspecting anything because for us he is a good guy, helping the poor and things like that. But you always knew that something is not right, especially in a class he would sometimes strip naked and walk around the class in front of all of us, and he said it is normal in the US, a father would do that in front of the children, things like that. And I was not very convinced, and he also demonstrated how to protect by putting condom on his, to demonstrate, to show us things like that. And it's, things are not right. And I also felt like that he started grooming us from the start. For example, he would ask his students, including myself, to write a letter to his sponsor in the US, and he would have the words or everything in his mind. So he would say the way that he would get more donations. So he would say like, Michael is so far the best person in our life, he provided for us and he teaches us for free, which is true. Without him, we won't be able to have this opportunity. So for him, as he doesn't work, he needs some support, from his donors to be able to continue on with his project and things like that. So we had to do it. Later on, one of his students got a scholarship to study in the US, and then he realized that, well, what Michael was doing was not right. And then, him and other students gathered all the evidence and then exposed him. So before the COVID, he flew back to Boston to visit his mother, and immediately he got arrested by the FBI. And he went on trial for some time and later on was found guilty, and he faced 12 years in prison. So yeah, he's serving his karma. You see, from the outside, people look so normal and you never know what's inside. And by the way, I'm not the victim. Like I said, there's good and bad about being LGBT in Laos, as nobody suspects who or that person, that living with you is your partner or just your friend. Some bad thing like this could happen to our children. But thank goodness, because this day we have authorities and organizations, taking care of young boys and young girls, people keep an eye on. So yeah, things are more safe now. So after many cases that happening in Laos, people started to be more vigilant and more careful about it, when seeing foreigners living with young men. So what do we have to do? Let's say, for me, technically I'm not a local to Luang Prabang because I originally from the north, despite living here for more than 20 years. And I rent this place, so technically I don't have a permanent resident in Luang Prabang. So how do I do? So of course I have to get the stay permit from the village chief. You can get a temporary one, which is lasts for 3 months, or permanent one. Not permanent one, more like a long-term one that lasts for 1 year. You have to have that, it's mandatory. Why? Because as you live in their village, it's better that you are registered in their village in case something happened. Let's say if I got my motorbike stolen, if I want to report about it, then they need to check if I have the record, my name on the list. Otherwise, they won't take care of my case. They will just, kick me away. Like, we don't care because we don't know you and things like that. And also when something happened, like in case you die or anything like that, they will not deal with it. And let's say if I have a foreign partner to come live with me, let's say if my boyfriend to come stay with me, I have to get his copy of passport and then bring it to the authorities and do the report, saying that, okay, this is my partner, he's coming to live with me, stay with me for a short term from this date to this date. Part of that is for his own safety, Let's say if something happened to him, if he had an accident, they will have to talk to me, It's easier that way. And I will have to, be able to give this information to his embassy or his family back home and things like that. So overall, it's all about safety. But these days, people don't do it. But it would be very good if you do it, just to give a record to the authorities that you have a foreign citizen live with you. Now let me tell you the backstory why the Lao government introduced such law to make it so hard for foreign men to date local women. In the early 1990 to 2006, human trafficking was a big thing in Laos. A lot of Lao people got trafficked into our neighboring country, especially China and Thailand, especially women, young girls aged from 13 to mid-20s. Young girls back in the day, especially those from the village, they're so naive, plus the poverty. A lot of them got lured into human trafficking ring with the promise of job with a good pay, you see. And because they have no knowledge about the danger, of course they're gonna fall for it, and a lot ended up being trafficked into Thailand and China. I'm not sure if you watched the film called Noi. So it's based on a true story. So Noi is the name of a woman from Vientiane who were trafficked into Thailand along with her two other friends in the early 1990s, and she was forced into a prostitution along with her friends for some years, and then later on she managed to escape with the help of this Thai guy, a taxi driver who was kind enough, at first as he, drove her all the way to the border. But it turns out that when she got there to the border, he demanded her to pay 3,000 baht for the taxi fare, which back in the day, 3,000 baht, that's a lot of money. She didn't have it, and then he threatened her to rape her and to send her back to the mafia, where she came from. And she fought back, and finally she be able to got the boat cross over to Laos, through traditional borders. It was very good film and tragic. Sadly, the two friends of her gone missing forever. So a lot of women gone missing in Laos back in the day. Like, for example, the girl from my hometown, she's a year younger than me. We grew up, we used to play together. She also gone missing. According to her parents, I left my hometown over 20 years ago, and I would come visit every now and again, right? So I talked to her parents, and they said the latest time that she came visit was 2007, and then she's just gonna disappear until now. It's like completely disappeared without a trace. So yeah, her parents have make peace in their mind. They have given up on waiting for her to return. Back in the day, nobody owns ID card. Forget about passport. So that's why it's easier for this human trafficking gang to traffic girls into this country using traditional borders. Once they cross over to other country, that's it. They can't go back. In the case of Chinese, are a little bit different. As you know that the male population in China is outnumbered of female population. So a lot of Chinese men back in the day, they would come to countries like Laos and Vietnam and Cambodia to look for a woman to marry to as they want to have families. So a lot of them would come to rural areas and to marry, illegally married with a young girl as young as 13, 14, 16, And because of the poverty, the parents couldn't resist the offer. They would pay some amount of money as part of the dowry, and then they would take these girls to China, and that's it. They can't disappear. No contact to their parents whatsoever. So on and on, so many cases, thousands of cases. Some got rescued. So from those who, got rescued and they came back to Laos and they tell the story, most, like 90% of the story, is they were forced into prostitution. And in the case of China, they mostly will resell to another man, those who want to have wife and things like that. So that's why, because of this reason, Lao government has introduced new law and making it more difficult for foreign men to, dating local girls. So yeah, in my opinion, I think it's good, this way, as they're protecting Lao women, because some of them are naive, they probably have no idea the danger that could happen to them, Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. And if you like this video, please consider subscribe and click the like. Thank you. Have a good week. And again, if you're planning to come to Laos, maybe keep it on hold until the next couple of weeks because it's raining so hard and it's getting heavier now out there. So anyway, enjoy your week. Bye-bye.